What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I thought we'd do some sort of a fun video now that Colorado is now 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup. They win game 1 in overtime 4-3, and they win game 2 against Tampa 7-0. Incredible performance by Colorado. Nichushkin definitely getting some possible Conn Smythe consideration. Makar as well, making it so that he's going to be the one that gets it most likely. But McKinnon also a possibility. Those three are pretty much my three if I would choose from. Nichushkin, I've liked the way he's been playing. His contributions defensively make him that much better, as well as Makar. So really for me it's between Nichushkin and Makar. I think Makar should get it just because he's so young and he's just dominated whenever he's on the ice. But today we're gonna step away from the playoffs. We're not necessarily though. We're gonna do a little bit of a fun video. We're gonna take a look at what I think should have been is the best teams that did not win the cup each year. I have picked one team since 2006 that I think if the best team that didn't win the cup. For example, like a team that probably should have won the cup if it was on paper, but since it played out in real life, it just did not work. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at this, and let's get right into it. So 2006, the team that I chose went 52, 21, and 9, 113 points, a first in the Eastern Conference. They had first in goals for, third in goals against, and they beat number 8 seeded Tampa in round 1. Then they lost to number 4 seeded Buffalo in round 2, and they lose that series in 5. Sorry about that, guys. I have returned. So yeah, Buffalo, the number 4 seed, takes them out in round 2. This team was the first seed in the Eastern Conference, as previously mentioned. They lose in 5 to Buffalo. That team is the 2006 Ottawa Senators. Fantastic team. I had this, 2005 was a lost year for Ottawa, so was 2006, and so was 2003, to be fair. The only difference between the 2003 team and the 2006 team is that Danny Heatley and Marian Hossa essentially swapped. So, yeah, notable names on this team. Yeah, Danny Heatley, 50 goals, 53 assists, 103 points. People get down on Heatley because of what happened after basically Ottawa, but people don't know how good of a player he actually was. Back-to-back 50-goal seasons in 06 and 07. 40 goals for 5 straight years, basically. He had 39 in those 2 years. That's basically 40. So, yeah, 5 straight 40-goal at least seasons. Incredible player, and when he fell off hard. But yeah, and then Alfredsson, 43 goals, 60 assists, 103 points as well. And then Jason Spezza, 19 goals, 71 assists, 90 points. Other notable names: Peter Schaefer, Mike Fisher, Antoine Vermette, Chris Neal, Chris Kelly, Martin Havlat, Zdeno Chara, Wade Renard, Andre Mazaros, and Chris Phillips. I don't have my voice there. In net, Dominic Hasek and Ray Emery. Fantastic team, and is without even a question in my mind the team that should have won the cup in 2006. And it ended up being Carolina, but that was kind of a team of destiny run. And yeah. So yeah, sorry about this. Sorry about that. The camera was looking a bit fuzzy, so I just had to wipe it down. So 2007 now. This team went 50, 19, and 13, 113 points, first in the West, second in the league. They were third in goals for and goals against. They beat number 8 seeded Calgary in round 1, 4-2. They beat number 5 seeded San Jose in 6 and 4-2. And they lost in 6 to number 2 seeded Anaheim. The 2007 Detroit Red Wings were a team that could have just contributed. You honestly could put Detroit from about 1994 up until about 2009. Those teams that Detroit had were so good. Teams, they should have won it probably in 95, 96, and then definitely 2004, 2006. They had a lot of excellent teams, Detroit. And they only got 4 out of those what should have about 15 years, I think. They won 4 in 15 years. They could have had a lot more than that if they had not choked in playoffs a lot. But, yeah. So, Detroit, the 2007 team, Datsuk had 27 goals, 60 assists, 87 points. Other notable names: Zetterberg, Holmstrom, Robert Lang, Danny Cleary, Kirk Maltby, Michael Samuelson, Johan Franzen, Chris Draper, Nicholas Lidstrom, Matthew Schneider, Nicholas Kronwall, Brent Lebda, Chris Chelios, and Andres Lilia. In net, Dominik Hasek returns, and Chris Osgood. Truly fantastic goalie pair. Both are in their later years, but they still won the cup the next year, so in the end, it kind of all worked out in Detroit. And, so another thing I forgot to mention, any player who has over a point a game in the season and played most, as in, like, if it's an 82-game season, that means they had more than 82 or more points. Or if, like, the 2013 season, we'll get there. If there's a player on that team that has more than 48 points, then we'll count them. And same with the pandemic years as well. 2008, we have a team that was second in the West, went 49, 23, and 10, 108 points, was third in goals for and against, like the Red Wings the year prior. They beat the number 7 seeded Calgary in 7, and then they lost to the number 5 seeded Calgary in round 2. Or not Calgary, Dallas in round 2. They lost in 6 games. That team is the San Jose Sharks, losing in Game 6 in quadruple overtime after Nabokov made one of the greatest saves in NHL history. But yeah, this team, Joe Thornton, 29 goals, 67 assists, 96 points. Other important contributors, Patrick Marleau, Joe Pavelski, Jonathan Cheechoo. Cheechoo, yeah, I know. But he was good at that time. Devin Setaguchi, Jeremy Roenick, Milan Mikalik, Craig Rivet, Christian Ehrhoff, Torrey Mitchell, Brian Campbell, Sandis Ozilic, Matt Carl, Mark-Edward Vlasic, and Douglas Murray. Claude Lemieux also played on that team, strangely enough. Or it might have been the 2009. I don't remember. It was one of those two teams. But he was 43. He's like, I'll make a comeback. And then he did not. Their goaltending, really one guy. Evgeny Nabokov played 77 games that year. Yeah, it was kind of nuts how that ended up working out. And, so that's why San Jose is in 2008. And so let's move on. 2009, this team was first in the league, President's Trophy winner, 53, 18, and 11, 117 points, was third in goals for and goals against. That's the third straight team to do so. And the fourth straight team to be third in goals against. They lose in round one of the biggest chokes in history, to number 8 seeded Anaheim in 6 games. That team is once again the San Jose Sharks. We're just going to move it down. And this team, the reason I put San Jose logo there is because it's more of an infamous choke. 2008, Dallas was not really seen as a contender, and they took them out in 6. But it was a close series. Anaheim destroyed this President's Trophy winning team in 6 games, and it was not even, it was embarrassing. Joe Thornton had 25 goals, 61 assists, 86 points. Other guys on the team, Patrick Marleau, Devin Setaguchi, Joe Pavelski, Ryan Clough, Jonathan Cheechoo, Jeremy Roenick, Travis Moen, Milan Mikalik, Dan Boyle, Rob Blake, Christian Ehrhoff, Mark-Edward Vlasic, and Douglas Murray. In net, Evgeny Nabokov and Brian Boucher. Goaltending is not an issue. And San Jose, once again, just showing that they can't get over the hump, that they had this phase going from about 2003 to 2019 that they just could not get over the hump. They made the finals once in that span, and they were contenders for pretty much all of that span. They missed the playoffs, I think, once or twice in that span as well. So, 2010, this team was first in the West. 51, 20, and 11, 113 points. They were fourth in goals for. And if I don't mention goals against or goals for, it means they were not top 5. I only took it if it was top 5. They beat number 8 seeded Colorado in 6 games. They beat number 5 seeded Detroit in 5 games. And they lost to the number 2 seeded Chicago Blackhawks in a 4-game sweep. San Jose, again, I'm going to keep it at 2009 because these 3 years I thought San Jose was the best team that didn't win the cup, just looking at their roster. Joe Thornton, 20 goals, 69 assists, 89 points. Patrick Marleau, 44 goals, 39 assists, 83 points. They got Danny Heatley for this run, 39 goals, 43 assists, 82 points, showing that Heatley carried over what he was doing in Ottawa pretty well. And he gets a worse rep than he deserves, I think. I mean, people make the jokes, Danny Heatley, All-Star, 50 in 07 and 06. but it's just kind of unfair to just his personal image because he really was an excellent, talented player. But yeah, San Jose 3 years in a row just could not. These 3 years specifically, they could not get over the hump. They were good in 03 and 04 and not 05 because there wasn't a season. 06, 07, they made the playoffs all those years. Even 02, they made the playoffs as well. But 2008, they were seen as they got to do it. 2009, they win the President's Trophy. This is the year. Nope. 2010, they're first in the West. They got this. Nope. And that's the last time also San Jose shows up on this board. So yeah, but other players that were important: Ryan Clough, Joe Pavelski, Devin Setaguchi, Manny Malhotra, Logan Couture, Dan Boyle, Rob Blake, Kent Huskins, Jason Demers, Douglas Murray, Mark-Edward Vlasic, Torrey Mitchell, Evgeny Nabokov, and Thomas Greiss were your goaltenders. So once again, no problem in net. Something just never clicked with San Jose. I don't know what it was, but it just could not click when it came down to the playoffs and big games. Now I say that best teams that didn't win the cup. There are some years where the best team did in fact win the cup. 2008, I thought Detroit was the best team in the league, and they won the cup. 2013 is going to see one. Chicago was clearly the best team. 36-7-5 record. They destroyed their way to the cup. Other teams, I can't really recollect any other team that was just better. But those were the 2 years specifically that just stuck out as that. Now 2011, it doesn't feel like it, but like when you look at the point totals this year, I kind of wonder how this team ran away with it. 54, 19, and 9, 117 points, first in the league. They were first in goals for and goals against. They beat number 8 seeded Chicago 4-3, number 5 seeded Nashville 4-2, and number 2 seeded San Jose 4-1, and they lose in the final against Boston 4-3. Their city then rioted. That was the Vancouver Canucks. I look at this roster and I think, how did this team accomplish 117 points? On paper, it's just a bunch of goons. If you look at the actual list, it's just a bunch of goons. You have Daniel Sedin and Henrik Sedin. Daniel Sedin, 41 points, 63 assists, 41 goals, 63 assists, 104 points. Henrik Sedin, 19 goals, 75 assists, 94 points. Then other good players on this team were Ryan Kessler, Michael Samuelsson, Alex Burrows, Mason Raymond, Manny Malhotra, Christian Ehrhoff, Alex Edler, Dan Hamhuis, Kevin Bieksa, Sammy Salo. Their goaltending was Luongo and Schneider. That team was really Daniel Sedin, Henrik Sedin, Luongo, and Schneider. And maybe you can add Kessler and Burrows in there somewhere as well. Edler maybe as well, but there was really nothing great about this team. You had two twins that were superstars, and you had a Hall of Fame goaltender, and then around that was just a bunch of forwards that were made better because of who they played with. I think Vancouver I think that 2011 Canucks team was the least amount of like big players that I put down for a team, and like Manny Malhotra, I mean, maybe he's definitely older at the time, but like I put him only on the list because of name recognition. I didn't put him because like he had great seasons or anything. But yeah. Now 2012, we have a team that went 51, 24, and 7, 109 points. They were third in goals against, as most teams are on this. They beat number 8 seeded Ottawa in 7, number 7 seeded Washington in 7, and then lost to number 6 seeded New Jersey in 6. So they basically had a clear path to the final and blew it. That team was the 2012 New York Rangers. They had some good players on this team. Marian Gaborik, Brad Richards, Ryan Callahan, Derek Stepan, Carl Hagelin, Artem Anisimov, Brandon Dubinsky, just to name up the forwards. Then for defense, you got Michael Del Zotto, Ryan McDonough, Dan Girardi, Anton Strawman, Mark Stahl, and in net you had Henrik Lundqvist and Marty Biron. Fantastic team all around, and they didn't get it done. Everyone remembers the iconic Henrik goal from Doc Emrick, the call from Doc Emrick, Henrik, it's over, and yeah, that's the 2012 Rangers. Now 2013, another year the second year that I think the best team did win the cup, but a close second, not really close, but close in the matter of how they finished. Same amount of wins, 36, 12, and 0. So the Hawks had 5 overtime losses that year. Penguins had none, which gave the Hawks the President's Trophy. Penguins were first in the East. They were first in goals for. Kind of spoil it early then. But they beat the number 8 seeded Islanders in 6, the number 7 seeded Senators in 5, and they lost the number 4 seeded Bruins in a sweep, 4-0. Crosby had 15 goals, 41 assists, 56 points. Kunin's 22 goals, 30 assists, 52 points. Malkin was injured, but he was also over a point a game, but I did not write his stats down. Other names on this team: Pascal Dupuis, James Neal, Matt Cook, Brandon Sutter, Jerome McGinley, they acquired at the deadline. Defensemen on that team: Chris Letang, Paul Martin, who had an excellent season that year, Matt Niskanen, Brooks Orpuk, and in goal they had Marc-Andre Fleury and Thomas Volkun. Two pretty good goaltenders. Volkun, he was with Florida, if you remember. He was with Nashville early on when they started, veteran goaltender there. And I remember when those games when Fleury wasn't performing and Volkun went in, they got on Volkun hard as well. And So 2014, the team that I chose went 46-21-15, 107 points, third in the Central Division as we move on to the division setup. They were first in goals for. They beat number 2 seeded St. Louis 4-2. They beat the first wild card Minnesota Wild in 6 games as well. And they lose to the third seeded LA Kings in 7 games in a game that broke my heart. The Chicago Blackhawks were the best team that did not win the Stanley Cup in 2014. They should have three-peated. There are things that series, if Crawford was better, if Crawford had a good series, Hawks win the series. That's about it. They won Game 1. Game 2, they were up 2-0, and then they let in 6 goals. Game 3, they got trashed. Game 4, they got trashed. Game 5, they win in double overtime. Game 6, they win in LA in a dominating fashion. In Game 7, they were up 2-0, 3-2, 4-3, and blew all those leads. And the goal that went in from Alec Martinez went off like 2 people in front. Once we do the What If series, it's going to get very fun when I get to those years. And, the Hawks should have three-peated, but maybe I'll find an alternate history one day where they do. Players on this team, goes without saying: Taze, Kane, Sharp, Hossa, Saad, Shaw, Versteeg, Kruger, Ben Smith, who is a clutch playoff performer. He didn't stick in the NHL that long, Ben Smith, but in the playoffs in 2011 and 2014, he was one of the most clutch players the Hawks had. Michael Hanzus is there as well in his final year before his retirement. On defense, they had Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, and Nick Leddy, who really came into his own that year. Nicholas Jarmelson, Johnny Oduya, and then in net, Corey Crawford and Antti Ranta. 2 good goaltenders. Ranta obviously now in Carolina. Crawford retired. And, Now, 2015, we have a team that went 50-24-8, 108 points, second in the Atlantic Division, and was also first in goals for. They beat number 3 seeded Detroit in 7, number 1 seeded Montreal in 6, and they beat the number 1 seeded President's Trophy winning New York Rangers in 7 games. And they go to the final, and they lose to the 3rd seeded Chicago Blackhawks in 4-2. That team is the 2015 Tampa Bay Lightning. Not going to be the only time Tampa shows up on this board. And, this team, they just got beat by the 2015 Hawks. Like, this is if there was a final the Hawks were going to lose, it was going to be going against Tampa, and they ended up pulling that one off. Very close series all around. All were one. No game had, I don't think, more than a team scored more than 4, maybe even 3. But it was a very close series all around. So now they've got the players. We have Steven Stamkos, Tyler Johnson, Nikita Kucherov, Andre Palat, Ryan Callahan, Valtteri Filppula, Alex Killorn, Jonathan Drouin, Cedric Paquette. There's a lot of those players are still on the current Tampa Bay Lightning. Stamkos, Kucherov, Palat, Killorn, Paquette was on their teams. Tyler Johnson was on their teams. Palat's probably gone after this year. Callahan would move on after the 2019 season. Filppula would move on. Drouin would move on, and Paquette's now in Montreal. Is it Montreal? I think it's Montreal. And on defense, this team had Anton Stralman, who would move on. Victor Hedman, who's still there. Jason Garrison. And net, they had 3 goalies this year. They ran with 3 goalies. Ben Bishop, Andrei Vasilevsky, and Evgeny Nabokov. 3 pretty good goalies. Nabokov was obviously older at this point. He wasn't who he was. But was pretty good as a goaltender for Tampa Bay. Next page. So now we get to 2016, and most people probably know these ones for 2016 and 17, but this team went 56, 18, and 8, 120 points, first in the league. They were second in goals for and goals against, They beat the second wildcard Philadelphia Flyers in 6. They lost to the number 2 seeded Pittsburgh Penguins in 6. That team is the 2016 Washington Capitals. I can get the magnet. And their team: Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, Backstrom, Justin Williams, TJ Oshie, Marcus Johansson, Jason Chimera, Andre Burakovsky, Jay Beagle, Tom Wilson. Fantastic lineup. Then you have on defense John Carlson, Matt Niskanen, Dmitry Orlov, Karl Alsner when he was good, Brooks Orpik, Nate Schmidt, who would go on to play with Vegas and then Vancouver horribly, and then Winnipeg. He's kind of refound himself last year. And net Braden Holtby and Philip Grubauer. And that leads me into the 2017 Washington Capitals. 55, I'm just going to move this down because I think that team was actually better. 55, 19, and 8, 118 points, first in the league. Third in goals for, first in goals against. They beat the second wildcard 2, Toronto, in 6 games. Then they lost to Pittsburgh in 7. They had Backstrom, who had 23 goals, 63 assists, 86 points that year. Other players: Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Johansson, Oshie, Williams, Wilson, Burakovsky, Beagle, Brent Connolly had a good year. Lars Eller had a good year. Tom Wilson, of course. Jakub Vrana started coming up. Then on defense, you had Matt Niskanen, who had an excellent year. John Carlson, Dmitry Orlov, Nate Schmidt, Brooks Orpik, and Kevin Shattenkirk was brought in at the deadline. This team was even more dangerous than the one previous. And they didn't get it done. And at that point, no one thought the Capitals were going to get it done. People thought that was it. They thought they were going to do something because they had lost so many times since their rebuild ended. They start making the playoffs here again. They go out, they tank, they get Ovechkin, they get Backstrom, they get those key guys that they need to build around. 2008, they lose to the Flyers. They were the higher seed. They were third. Flyers were 6th. They lose in round 1. 2009, they lose in round 2 to the Penguins. 2010, President's Trophy winners blow it against Montreal. 2011, lose in second round. 2012, they lose in the second round. 2013, can you guess? They lose in the second round. 2014, they missed the playoffs because everyone was injured. 2015, they lose in the second round famously with the step-on goal. Lose in second round. 2018, they finally get it done. It took that many years for Washington to finally get it done, but they were able to do it in the end, and now they haven't won a round since. Now, moving on to 2018, this team went 52, 20, and 10, 114 points, second in the league, 1 point behind the leader. They were second in goals for, fifth in goals against. They beat number 3 seeded Minnesota in 5. They beat number 1 seeded Nashville in 7. That was the team that was 1 point above them. They lose to the number 1 Vegas in 5 games. That team was the 2018 Winnipeg Jets. The 2018 Winnipeg Jets. So Winnipeg, if you wanted a year, that was it. Wheeler had 23 goals, 68 assists, 91 points. Fantastic from their captain. You had Patrick Laine, Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers, Kyle Connor, Brian Little, Matthew Perreault, Yoel Armia, Andrew Copp, Adam Lowry, Brandon Tanev, Jack Roslovic, Paul Stastny. On defense, you had Dustin Byfuglien, Tyler Myers, Josh Morrissey, Jacob Trouba, Dmitry Kulikov, and Ben Sherrod as well. So, pretty fantastic offense, defense, and in the goal and net they had Connor Hellebuck and Steve Mason. So, what a team that Winnipeg Jets team was. That was their chance. And they won game 1 against Vegas. Vegas lost control of the series for one period. They lost that game, and the next 4 Vegas just took that off, and they make their appearance in the final. Now 2019, who could it be? 62 wins, 16 losses, 4 OT losses, 128 points, record-setting season. First in the league, first in goals for, fifth in goals against, and they lose in the first round against the second wild card Columbus Blue Jackets in a sweep. First President's Trophy winner to ever get swept. I'm going to move this down here because it's well-deserved, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And wow, what a collapse of a team at that point. Kucherov, 41 goals, 87 assists, 128 points. Steven Stamkos, 45 goals, 53 assists, 98 points. Braden Point, 41 goals, 51 assists, 92 points. Other players, Yanni Gourde, Tyler Johnson, JT Miller, Alex Killorn, Anthony Cirelli, Andre Palat, Matthew Joseph, Cedric Paquette, Ryan Callahan. On defense, you had Victor Hedman, Ryan McDonough, Mikhail Sergachev, Braden Coburn, Anton Strawman, Eric Cernak, Dan Girardi. And net you had Vasilevsky and Louis Domingue, Pittsburgh legend Louis Domingue, that is. And what isn't there to say about this? This is the most famous loss, most famous choke in, I think, all of sports history ever. This was the first time a President's Trophy winner or league leader got knocked out in a sweep in the first round ever. And wow, I mean, we've seen President's Trophy winners get swept before. Florida did it this year, it was against Tampa. Now that I think about it, there probably isn't that many more that actually got swept, but that was the last one that comes to mind, and that was in the second round, so that's a completely different story. There was some success to be had for Florida. But, yeah, Tampa blew it that year, and then they haven't blown it since until Game 2 yesterday, especially. 2020, this team went 39-24-8 in a 70-game, or 70-ish game season. Some teams were at 68, 69, 70, 71. That amount of games before the pause. 86 points, first in the Pacific, probably the only Pacific team on this list. They gained the first seed in the round robin that was played. They beat number 8 seeded Chicago, originally number 12 seeded Chicago. They beat number 5 seeded Vancouver, originally number 6 seeded Vancouver. And Chicago was in 5, Vancouver was in 7, and they lost to the number 3 seeded Dallas in 5. That team was the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas put their best team on the ice, I thought, in 2020 and in 2021. They had two really good teams there. 2018, though, they just had something special with that misfits that was going on there. And, yeah, that was the only time they got to the final. But 2019, they probably could have got back if the call didn't exist. But, yeah. So, players on this team, Max Pacioretty, Mark Stone, Riley Smith, Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, Paul Stastny, Chandler Stevenson, Alex Tuck. On defense, Shea Fedor, Nate Schmidt, Nick Holden, Nick Holden? Why have I forgotten his first name? Nick Hague, Braden McNabb, and Alec Martinez. In net, Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner, fantastic goaltending duo. And Fleury was acquired at the deadline from Chicago that year. And yeah, that just all-around great team that Vegas put on the ice that year. In 2021, you would think they would have won up it as well. And you could argue they did, but I think there was a team that won up to them just barely. And just because it was kind of the depth situation and the cap situation. In 2021, this team went 39-13-4, 82 points, first in the league. First in goals for, third in goals against. They beat number 4 in the, I don't want to say round robin, they beat number 4 in the West Division, St. Louis in 4. They lose to the number 2 seeded Vegas in 6. That team was the 2021 Colorado Avalanche. And while Vegas acquired Alex Pietrangelo to their already stacked defense, Colorado got out and they made a big jump for some of the other big, I want to say big, more so, I just think Colorado was better built. I think that's just the better way. Colorado had better depth than Vegas. The more Vegas you see in their history, the more they go along, and the less depth they acquire because they're so close to the cap. You saw the Shea Weber Evgeny Dadonov trade was a perfect example of that. They acquiring dead cap just so they can just try and get out of the salary cap because of the roster that they have put together. Rantanen had 30 goals, 36 assists, 66 points. McKinnon, 20 goals, 45 assists, 65 points. Other names, Landeskog, Burakovsky, Kadri, Donskoy, Saad, Nichushkin, Comfort, Jost. On defense, you had Makar, Girard, Tays, and Graves. Bit of a rhyme there. And in net, you had Philip Grubauer, who played most of the season. There wasn't really anyone you can consider his backup. And then in 2022, our most recent year, this team went 58-18-6, their best season by far ever, 122 points, first in the league, first in goals for. They beat the second wildcard Washington in 6, but they are swept by the number 3 seeded Tampa Bay Lightning. They are the 2022 team that I had going to the final this year and losing to Calgary, but the 2022 Florida Panthers. Yeah, Tampa just simply beat them. Like, game 2 could have gone either way, and then Brett Montour. Mackenzie Weegar makes a dumb play, and that kind of just ended the series right there and then. Jonathan Huberdeau, 30 goals, 85 assists, 115 points, career year for sure. Alexander Barkov, 39 goals, 49 assists, 88 points. Sam Reinhart, 33 goals, 49 assists, 82 points. Other notable names: Duclair, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Marchment, Lundell, Hornqvist, Drew, Joe Thornton, who was on the early Sharks teams that I mentioned, and he's still on this one. And then on defense, you have Aaron Ekblad, Mackenzie Weegar, Brandon Montour, Gustav Forsling, and net, Sergei Bobrovsky, and Spencer Knight. Not horrible goaltending for sure. And yeah, there were a few years where it was pretty tough to choose. For example, in 2021, I was really weighing pros and cons between Colorado and Vegas. And I'm not going to lie, the end result was that I chose Colorado because I had already put Vegas up here and I wanted to use a different magnet. 2022, I was debating on using Calgary, but I thought Florida just looked so good in the regular season, so unstoppable that I just had to put them. Other teams that I debated on doing were 2015. I knew it was Tampa. Like, there are some that you just knew right away. 2006 was one of those years. 2011 was not. 2011 was a strange one because it seemed like none of the teams wanted to be the best team that didn't win the cup. And Chicago 2014 might be a bit biased, but I think it was pretty logical as they were in the conference final. They had won the cup the year prior, and they looked like they were going to do it again. They did. But yeah, this was one of the projects that I've been working on. I know it's a longer video. We're a little over 32 minutes now. And yeah, that's really going to be it for this video. I'm going to be going on vacation soon, so if I'm not back, I apologize for not getting a review of the Stanley Cup Final out. I just want to say before I go, also, thank you for all the support that has been going on my channel recently. The view counts have been going up and up, and it's always appreciative that people watch my videos, and I want to thank you guys for watching once again. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys in this one. Have a great Father's Day if you're a father out there, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one, whenever that is. Goodbye.